supposed to use?
To the flag, of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, and justice for all.
A moment of silence for our deported members, military, as well as first responders, past council members, and remembering those during the past month in the national weeks across the country. Thank you. Welcome, thank you for attending the meeting. Once again, please make sure that you sign in for the meetings if you have not done so upon completion. Once again, we will ask for approval of the meeting minutes from May 4th. Motion is to approve. Yes. Do we have a quorum?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 members. And alternates, you have, does that count towards the quorum alternates?
Attendance also, correct?
Because if it's the alternate and the member is not here, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so 13, then you have 14, 15, 16.
16, so we do have a quorum. Okay, thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
So once again, I request an approval for the minutes of the meeting from May 4th, 2022. Motion. Second. Dr. Bovis, on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
So ordered. We'll move on to council communications and correspondence. We have 3 enforcement actions that occurred since our last meeting. Bring to your attention. One of those being a provider within our region. That being once again Salvatore Viola, EMT number 438377. It was for violations of the New York Code of Rules and Regulations, Part 10. Multiple sections, including 800.3, AL, 800.3 AM, 800.15A, 800.15A2, 800.15B1, 800.16A1, A2, and A3. He was suspended for 1 year, effective 5/16/22. The suspension has been stayed. He's been placed on probation for 3 years, effective 5/16/2022. And was assessed a civil penalty of $2,500, and it was posted on May 23rd, 2022. Second being Mark Blackburn, EMT number 467799. And for violations of the New York Code of Rules and Regulations, 10, 815A, 815B, 816A, 1, and also 800.16A2. He surrendered his credentials as of 5/17/22, and it was posted on May 24th, 2022. Last, Harris Chrome, EMT number 469744, for violations of Article 10, New York Code of Rules and Regulations, Part 800.3 AM. Suspended for 1 year, effective 5/24/22. The suspension has been stayed pending no further violations for 3 years. It was assessed a civil penalty of $2,000, suspended pending no further violation during his 3-year probationary period. And once again, that was also posted on May 24th, 2022. Move on to Chairman's report. Once again, an update on the regional program agency. On May 27th, myself, Dawn Hudson, as well as Dr. Kugler, with REMAC, attended a virtual meeting or conference call with the state Bureau of EMS, as well as other program agencies from around the state, to evaluate the current status of program agencies. The program agencies throughout the state have been extended for 2 years, starting in July. Myself and the other council members on the conference call had some issues that we brought up once again with the Bureau of EMS regarding our current status in 14 to 15 months that we've been out without a program agency, and the issues surrounding that. The administrative have been taken care of by a multitude of agencies, including EAD and various council members and academies, to once again be able to manage the region with that. We are currently at Crossroad. We're looking at two options. We discussed with the executive council. One option is the possibility of the council as a grantee being able to be granted the money for the program agency and be able to look at options to build a program agency or subcontract the program agency to assist us with the daily administrative requirements of the state. And the second option is once again to hire a program agency that's already established within New York State to take us on to be able to assist us with the daily operations of that. There's pros and cons on both sides. We do not have a final answer as of today. We had hoped to have that answer from the Director Greenberg from the Bureau of Emergency Medical Services. But at this time, it is still being negotiated on how that will play out. We discussed the options. We're going to look at those once it's finalized and make a determination on how we proceed forward. If need be, if we need to get an established program agency, we will have to vet and once again send out RFPs to various program agencies around the state to see who would be available to assist us, to take us on. They are already established, so once again, the infrastructure would already be in place, but then again, we would need to have people here within the county to be able to assist us with all of the in-person requirements that we currently have. We hope to have an answer by July 1st. And at that point, once again, the council and the executive board will meet to see what the options are and to make a decision on how best to encounter that. If need be, we will hold a special session in August to explain the options and where we are as far as going for the next 2 years until the state can once again vet and get a new program agency, if need be, to assist us once this extension has been exhausted. So there is an update. Once again, we are working to come to a conclusion on this. We've had significant assistance and once again support from various agencies and program agencies, I should say, upstate, and there'll be more to come in the next few weeks on that. Next, the Nassau EMS website, which all originally started getting up and running. Once again, replaced the former website. We've had no increases in fees for the administration of that website. We have been notified that once again, the fees will be increased starting in July. I believe we will pay $1.35 per provider, ALS provider, within the system, and 45 cents for all inactive providers that are currently listed. That will increase to $1.75 per provider effective July 1st going forward. As I said, this is the first increase that we've seen in over, I believe, 4 years. So I'm sure that once again, it is not out of line with what would be expected. So we will look into that further, but we do need to advise you on that. Regional credentialing of ALS providers. Once again, the state is looking at different issues and stuff with regional credentialing. Right now, we continue to credential those providers that are new to the system, as long as we are aware of their new status coming through the academies. But once again, we would ask that all agencies check your rosters and make sure that the people that are on your rosters that are currently credentialed within Nassau County, that you get those agency lists and remove anybody from there, as we do pay for them to be credentialed and to be actively providing within the Nassau region. So please, agency managers, please check your rosters and make sure that all of your personnel that are on there are actively provided. Once again, we ask that all agencies, once again, look at your staffing issues and your human resources for the summer with the current COVID issues and the variants, as well as some of the other staffing issues. We are projecting increased staffing shortages, and it's a good time for your agencies to look at the effective staffing of your various agencies and look at, once again, providing enhanced staffing and duty crews as necessary to be able to protect those areas that you serve. The agency response matrix changes. All right. This came up about 3 months ago. Once again, we got a text message approximately a week and a half ago regarding the situation up in East Norwich Fire Protection District, who was looking to make a change from a backup with Nassau County Police Department EAB and change to utilizing of Northwell Health as a mutual aid agreement. At the time, we once again just requested supporting documentation from the various areas within the protection district for the protection and once again, acknowledgement of all the various entities within that area, once again, including the villages and the town of Oyster Bay. As we brought up in last month's meeting, we have gotten no supporting documentation, and to date, we still have got no supporting documentation. I just asked, once again, we are not here to police various agencies. We have 85 agencies out there that, once again, we are here to represent the county and once again represent the residents of Nassau County and to make sure that they're getting appropriate care and make sure that we're getting appropriate coverage to all of the various areas throughout Nassau County in, once again, a reasonable time with a qualified crew, regardless of who responds. We ask that agencies once again follow the policies and procedures that are set forth regarding changes to the response policy and the response matrix that has been set forth in the county, and once again, that we were responsible to report to the state authorities. So once again, please contact us, send us any paperwork, should you need changes in your response. And once again, we will work to take care of that with I guess, and also council members, we've been fairly lax due to COVID and other strenuous issues, especially with virtual meetings. Once again, REMSCO meeting attendance as stipulated in the bylaws. Please try to make the meetings, once again, whether they be in person or whether they be virtual. We need attendance, as past Chairman Diver had mentioned, once again, in order to effectively cover the business that's necessary for the REMSCO meetings. We need to have a quorum, and therefore, please notify us if you're unable for refusal, or once again, make sure that you attend a minimum of number of meetings for your constituency. The Nassau County EMS subcommittee, which is a combination of council and REMAC members on the system modernization, has had a couple of meetings over the past several months, and has come up with some innovative ideas and groundwork and foundational work to improve and to modernize that system. There will be upcoming meetings. They're currently just, once again, hiatus while we negotiate the Nassau County EMS coordinators meeting, which is looking at response and also communications interoperability issues with the county. That committee will be meeting on June 14th at 1:30 here at the Public Safety Center. We have made some progress, be it, once again, short-term solutions. We still have a long way to go. The short-term, mid-term, and long-term issues that need to be dealt with. We're at a crossroads as far as EMS, especially with staffing and communications. And we are working with this committee, both myself, Don Hudson, Dave Kugler, Frank Kabovis, and various other county agencies and personnel, as well as the legislature, to try and fix some of these issues before it becomes insurmountable. The e-bridge communication, Dr. Kugler, I think he'll bring it up underneath his report and stuff later, but once again, we had a good e-bridge communication over at the CME during our Nassau EMS or after our EMS ceremony on May 21st, to bring people up to speed on what eBridge can do for us as far as communication. And I'll leave that up to him as far as the status with that. The EMS Coordinators Weekly Report, as we mentioned last month, is out there every Friday. All agency managers should be requested to disseminate the information sent out to all the medical directors as well as agency providers on a weekly basis. There is a wealth of information on the website sent out by both the EMS coordinator as well as with the REMSCO agency. So please get that information out to your providers. It is urgent that we make sure that everybody is updated in a reasonable fashion. Right. We are continuing to look at virtual agency meetings. We've had 2 so far with various agency managers as well as medical directors. And we are looking at possibly putting together another virtual agency meeting to encompass the leadership within the various agencies to get the necessary information on some of the changes that may be forthcoming and to update them on some of the major issues as well as the progress of the various committees that are going on simultaneously to address these issues. So there'll be more to come on that. We hope to have another meeting sometime before the summer to be able to, once again, update people and let them know what our roles and responsibilities are, and also to be able to get the information out in a timely fashion for them. The council tax returns have been submitted to Deventi and Lee, which is the accounting firm that has done the accounting for the council in the past. Currently, it's being worked on and will be submitted to the state as soon as possible. And also, they have filed a tax exempt status for the council to be able to, once again, have us as a tax exempt organization, nonprofit within New York State, which, unbeknownst to me, we had not, or the program agency had not filed for in the past. So they are also taking care of that for us. We are, once again, continuing to look at an EMS agency quarterly data report. Further discussions have been made. We had a discussion at the executive council to reach out to the agencies. All this information, once again, allows us to be able to better serve the agencies as well as the residents of Nassau County by giving us the real-time data on what's going on out there in the field. We have narrowed down some of the requested data. We'll continue to work on it and hopefully have it out by the end of the summer. More to come on that. Last but not least, once again, I would like to thank everyone on the committee who helped the education and training, public education committee, as well as volunteers from outside of the council for their help with the EMS awards, as well as the dedication to Dr. Costas Lambrou. I know the family was extremely grateful for the recognition after such a long time, and has once again was in their terms basically blown away by the outpouring of support and love for Dr. Lambrou for his accomplishments here in Nassau County during the late 60s and early 70s. Once again, the ceremonies went what I would term excellent. We would like to thank the Nassau University Medical Center as well as the county administration for their input and once again for their support on that with the council. And hopefully, once again, it will enlighten the people or the providers within our service as to where we came from and how we need to get to where we need to be in order to preserve the system that we currently have. We had also, once again, because after the ceremony was over and the dedication, we had given a gift card to the family for the 7 members who attended for them to go out to lunch and stuff afterwards. And I got a heartfelt thank you and a email back from Mrs. Lambrou that they have donated in memory of Costas Lambrou through the regional council, $300 to the National EMS Museum for once again his contributions here within Nassau County. Finally, I have completed and finalized and forwarded to the National EMS Museum for their EMS Journal of Pioneers, a article that you've presented, hopefully within that journal, and also to a couple of other journals within the EMS community here in the United States. They contacted me again today. They're in receipt of that plus the supporting documentation. There's a copy up here if anybody would like to see it. It was reviewed for accuracy and completion. This is Lambert, and once again, she was involved of the article, and once again, gave us full support behind it, and it's currently with the editor-in-chief of the magazine, who will be reviewing it at the committee this week for publication within that. But once again, thank you very much. For that, the expense report will be taken care of today, and I do appreciate it. I think it was truly an honor, not only for Dr. Lambert, but for myself, once again, looking back on the system and how it was created and how we've gotten to this point, and it will help us to move forward in the future. And that is all I have. Any questions for me regarding? Okay. Andy Simone had sent me an email. She is unable to attend. Do you have anything to bring to the? Nothing to report. Okay, so we'll move on to, once again, the treasurer's report. Dave Calhoun.
Before I get on the report, I'd just like to congratulate and thank Chuck for a great job with the whole conscious land rule. All right, expenditures, $3,070.89 to Chuck Mackey, to pay him for all the things that he purchased for that date to get that gate done. Made a check to New York Video Company for videography for that day was $650. South Shore Mailroom made up the Medcom graphics. If you have a chance to go down, if you haven't seen it, it looks really great. I mean, it has the what? We found a new career. Chuck and I spent too many hours trying to put it up. That was $570. I transferred $4,000 from the money market account into the checking account. So as of today, the business checking account, we have $3,700.33. The business savings account, we have a balance of $30,193.47. The money market account balance is $73,259.37. And outstanding loans to the program agency as of today is $68,178.89. I need a motion to accept the closure of it. That's all I have.
Okay, second. On the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, state EMS representative for the coordinated report, Don Hudson.
So thank you. The coordinator's report, as you said, is distributed weekly on Friday and posted to nassems.org. That's sent to every EMS manager and medical director through our 80+ agencies, specifically to be distributed to their EMS providers. There still seems to be some challenges in getting that to occur, as not all the managers are forwarding that as intended to all their providers. So as you reiterated, please, providers, if that's not occurring, let us know so we can get to your manager and see what the problem is. And if nothing else, they're posted publicly on the website. From the state council, as was reported by REMAC, and not to steal Dr. Kuba's thunder, you gonna bring up any of those?
You keep going, I'll pick up what you know.
I got your back now. All right. So 4 items of note were brought up at state council between medical standards, CMAC, REMSCO, and the other subcommittees. The one is New York State EMS educational course sponsorships, what we know as the 3 academies in our region. Well, there's more than 3 academies simply because the state legal bureau outside of the Bureau of EMS came down with a ruling that there are no geographical boundaries to course sponsorships, and they can pretty much teach classes wherever they feel the need is. That's being worked through within the Bureau and within the State Council as far as impact and how that's going to be coordinated. All course sponsors were directed to notify the REMSCO within the region, not only their home region, where they're headquartered, but also any other regions where they may be teaching courses. So there's been some scuttlebutt in our region already about overlapping courses and stuff like that. So we'll see where that leads. Similarly, the legal eagles at the state outside the Bureau of EMS, due to an appeal to one of the upstate REMACs about regionalized credentialing and or restriction of providers. That process has been called into question, and the Bureau and the council is waiting on a legal ruling about what that's going to look like moving forward. Two other things that came from our region, from one of our involved medical directors who asked two very good questions that seemingly has to go back to the attorneys and to the Commissioner of Health for a determination, is physician fly cars, their use, where they fall in regulation, and how that's going to look moving forward. We know that they've been used in many regions across the state for some time and used well. It's probably time to start writing some of the stuff down so that it's codified in regulation. And then along with that, parallel to that, was the question about, it's hard to describe, but I'll use the description of non-EMS certified responders who are responding to calls and scenes in an official capacity, meaning marked vehicles. And by non-EMS providers, we mean people that may have taken a CPR class, may have taken a first aid class, nasal Narcan class, stop the bleed class, be carrying AEDs and or potentially even oxygen. And who's regulating that, and does that fall under the Bureau / Article 30 as they're not currently represented? And again, these are not private vehicles. These are generally agency-owned vehicles of formally responding within an agency's response plan. If I can be vague enough to be descriptive. If you're not sure who we're talking about, see me on break. And that's it. Happy to take questions, and we'll see. Next meetings are in July, so they're currently hybrid, but those are tied to the executive orders, which may expire monthly. So we'll see.
Any questions for the state EMS rep or? Okay. Move on to council committee reports. Just at the executive council, we met prior to the meeting today. Most of the stuff that I brought up in my report is pretty much what we went over. It surrounds, once again, where we go with the program agency. That will be yet to be determined by the state, as well as, once again, the increases in fees for our website and the response matrix issues, which we request, once again, and we ask that all agencies, once again, consult with the REMSCO and allow us, once again, to assist you with any changes that might be necessary with that, once again, the best interest of the system, as well as the best interest of the residents of Nassau County for that. There is a policy and procedure, and we need to strictly adhere to that, once again, to meet the regional as well as state guidelines. REMAC, Dr. Cheerson or Dr. Kruger?
Is Dr. Shearson on?
He's not.
Okay, so I guess it goes to me then. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a meeting last month where we also reiterated those Bureau reports. We sent out letters to the State Department of Health asking for a request for extension or renewal of the alternative formulary use because of shortages of syringe epinephrine and opioids. There were a couple of agencies that were provisionally moved to provisional ALS and then back up to full ALS. And we approved a new medical director, Dr. Matthew Friedman, from that agency that had 4 CONs. He's the medical director for one of them. Under protocols, the New York State, the updated New York State collaborative protocols were formally approved by the region as our regional protocols. So that's for your information. You may also see in the protocols the use of TXA as a regional option. Just as a reminder, the RTAC controls the use of TXA in our region as per the state. And the RTAC has said there's no use for a TXA in our region, so we do not, TXA is not an authorized medicine in the Nassau region. There is a new medication that the medical director is supposed to educate their providers on. It's basically oxymetazoline or Afrin for use in epistaxis. So please, if you're a medical director, please educate your providers on it so they can implement that protocol. We are removing some physician providers on the website, and we're going to be verifying the names on the website, upgrading medical controls for Northwell and for Newmick. As the year changes, people move on. So we're going to be getting those lists. We verified the list of credentialed field physicians. So far, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. If your physician, if your agency has a physician that wants to be a credentialed medical control field physician, they need to petition the REMAC. So I'm happy to have them do that. That would be great. More the merrier. A new policy was put forth from the policy committee regarding the SLAMs, so that district medical control has something that they can use. And so SLAMs made the official stroke policy, stroke screening tool in Nassau County in accordance with New York State policy as well. So we just didn't have a regional policy, so now we have one. That should be posted up on the website. There is a draft policy that we sent to the general devices people regarding eBridge. It's in its sort of semi-final iteration. We're having eBridge look at it to make sure that it's a reasonable policy since it's their program. And then based on what we sent them, they're gonna mock up screenshots for us so that we can add to the policy. And the screenshots will be only on the EMS side, because on the hospital side, the hospitals can create, configure their own screens, as long as they're able to receive what EMS would have. And just as a reminder, there's no cost to any EMS agency in Nassau County for the use of this software. The policy does include the fact that the region will be controlling the user IDs of the pre-hospital providers. And it doesn't mention anything about the hospitals, because the hospitals will control their own use. So eBridge is really moving very well. Every health system has actually been working with the general devices people, working on getting their IT people, getting their budget people involved and integrated in the conversations to start paying for this. So once you have the IT people and the money people involved, it tends to move a little bit faster. So I think it's, I can say after our 2-year hiatus due to COVID, it's moving along quite nicely. Let's see. That Don's thing. So there was an issue also at the state level at the CMAC with regards to an agency that wants to use our protocols in Suffolk County. And Suffolk County said no. And then I reminded the state that they've made us take ALS services use of New York City's protocols in our region. And so they can't have a double standard where they can make us take one region's protocols, but then have another region say no. It's either all or none. So that went back to the same committee that made October taking our region quality. So we're waiting for them to get back to us. Lastly, the October meeting was moved, as you'll see on the updated calendar for the October REMAC meeting from October 5th to October 12th. Any questions?
Issue with RCA ambulance and their compensation.
Oh,
That you
yes.
mentioned that
That was
the-
never, thank you. That was never clarified. So that totally gave me, I owe Director Greenberg another letter. So there was an issue, there is a policy in this region. In order for you to be an ALS credentialed agency, you have to have one of each of a benzodiazepine and an opioid, one to stop seizures, one to treat pain. So when RCA was doing their credentialing process, however they went about doing it, the question was posed to the state before we allow them to be fully ALS in our region. Do they have one opioid and one benzodiazepine in their ALS vehicles? And a very inflammatory letter was sent back from one of the Bureau's division directors or chiefs saying, Bureau of Narcotics Enforcement and the Bureau of EMS is going to enforce this policy. So it was his opinion, it wasn't the Bureau's. It was, and I brought that up to Director Greenberg. I said, you can have somebody tell a region what they're going to acknowledge and not acknowledge because it's in the regulations. And then that same person was very kind enough to reiterate to me the portion of Article 30 relevant to the agreement. I did have some words with the director. I've never gotten it clarified if that agency does indeed have an opioid and a benzo on board. And I do thank you for bringing that to this public forum, because now it reminded me at the end of this meeting, I would be sending another letter. Actually, I'm just going to call Director Greenberg. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Cooper.
That was key.
With that also, I can revert back once again to mine, as you just mentioned, it slipped my mind. I did want to thank Director Greenberg, who did show up for our ceremony, as well as the dedication. Spent the day with us. May 21st, once again, came down to partake and once again hand out a couple of awards to our local providers. Dave, congratulations. Also, Jerry Sikorsky, as well as Dr. Booten, once again, for their outstanding work. But I wanted to thank the director for once again making himself available and coming down to be with us during the ceremony as well as the dedication over at Eddie Webster. For back committees, communications, Karen Grill. Disaster planning, Kevin O'Hara.
We spoke with the co-member Chris Airy, and he's actually meeting with one or two of the members that sit on the my committee, I should say. I'm going to meet with them this week. I want to try to set up another meeting to go over again the area disaster planning, try to get some progress on that.
Great, thank you very much. Education and training, Ed Walter.
Not here, not online.
Okay, no report. Legal and governmental affairs, Dr. Raputin. Public education, Frank Chester. And just on that, once again, we did have the open house. I wish we had gotten, I tried to get the county as well as the outlets to open up and cover the various festivities on May 21st. Once again, in the future, we'll be able to make better rate roads. Public information was not as I had intended it to be. EMS systems, Paul Diver.
Yes, I would like to address the East Norwich situation a little more in depth that you had mentioned. So I'm going to go back in time a little bit and sort of just bring us up to speed and explain where we are today and why we're here. The East Norwich Fire Department made a request to go dual response 100% with the Nassau County Police Department. So basically, Nassau County Police Department responding to every single call that the East Norwich East Norwich was notified of, and vice versa, in the boundaries of their response area, which is the unincorporated areas of the town of Oyster Bay and the incorporated villages of I believe Upper Brookville and Mutton Town. We advised them that since COVID had happened, that we We had not been doing new response, however, they were participating in a pilot program where they were responding with a county ambulance for any ALS call type, and there was 11 calls. They would dispatch through Firecom, and the county ambulance was directed to respond also. So they were getting county ambulance on those calls. They then advised that they were going to enter into a contract with Northwell. There was various discussions. We had a meeting. It was brought up that we would like to have letters submitted from the two villages and the town of Oyster Bay acknowledging that this would be going on. As of this date, we have not received those letters or notification that those letters were sent or being denied, etc. Over the weekend, I became aware of a text note, social media post, I'm not quite sure what it is, that Northwell SEMS would be operating in the East Norwich area under the guise of being identified as East Norwich ambulances, and I just want to get this right, so I'll pull it up and read to you exactly what the wording is on this. That SEMS ambulances would be identified as 5191 through 5198. The SEMS administrator would be identified as 519A, and SEMS supervisors would be identified as 519B through 519C. The actual wording of communication is that East Norwich Fire Company covers the hamlets of East Norwich, Upper Brookville, and parts of the town of Brookville, and that the SEMS ambulances would be dispatched by SEMS via calls through Firecom, and that they would use those IDs to respond to Firecom as to their response. About 2 months ago, I was notified under my authority of EAB EMS EAB Police Medic Coordinator and the person who takes care of the EMS response matrix. I was notified by the Commissioner of Police to make East Norwich do response 100% with the Nassau County Police Department, which I accomplished. So over the past couple of days, after some discussions with the operators of 2372, we now have 3 ambulances responding for every call in the confines of the East Norwich Fire Company response area. I think this is a tremendous misuse of resources, and we have to do something. We have a policy and procedure here. Dave just brought up, I think Dr. Fuller just brought up an example of someone else not following our policy and procedures. I believe that at this time, I would like to make a motion that the chairman send a letter to both Northwell EMS and to the East Norwich Fire Company and explain to them, have them explain what is going on. We need some
That's the
sort of.
program agency.
Put the program in.
I'll write it.
We'll put something together. As I said,
Yeah.
you know, our whole goal for this has been transparency. This past year, once again, we've been as transparent as possible with every agency. We've reached out to every agency. Our goal is, once again, to make sure that you're getting the appropriate ambulances, the appropriate personnel, the appropriate time for all the residents and visitors to Nassau County. And I agree with you, once again. You've bent over, you've gone above and beyond, once again, to rectify the situation. I was, once again, not aware of this situation until I saw the text message come across to me. And apparently at the same time, multiple other people had also received this text message. We brought up about documentation last month. Nobody, once again, said anything. Nobody was here from any of these various agencies. And I think you're right, once again, if it happens with one agency, it can happen with multiple agencies. And that undermines the council as well as the matrix and the system as a whole. And we need to address it. That's why I'm addressing it here. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on behalf of any of those entities regarding this? As I said, I do not know where this came from. I don't know what level this came from. I am not the police. I am not sitting in their parking lot and monitoring their situation. But you're 100% right. Once again, we need to follow the directives, policies, and procedures of Nassau County, regardless of whether it is systems or, once again, any other policies with that. And I will gladly send a letter if the council wishes. We will formulate a letter and send it out to the various agencies, and we'll see what their response to stuff is. Yes.
Essentially, what you have here is a private corporation fire company that made an independent decision to subcontract to another agency.
That's obvious.
They did that without really understanding the nature of Nassau REMSCO, what our mission statement is, and how we work to assist agencies in their challenges that they have with response issues. We kind of introduced them to REMSCO. They came down, they heard what we had to say. And some questions were asked, and then essentially it appears to me that they circumvented the council, went directly to the Nassau County Authority, made some sort of an arrangement to have dual response for everything reinstated. The policy that is controversial and we ended in other areas due to the nature of scarcity of resources.
Exactly.
And then upon further examination, there were some questions. There were some questions asked and some information that was requested from the council. It seems that this agency has been non-communicative or not willing to communicate with us, and has proceeded to make their own response decision to subcontract.
Like I say, I agree with you. We brought it up at the May meeting. Once again, we brought it up at the March meeting, once again, requesting
So
supporting documentation.
we're all aware of the scarcity of the resources and the burdens to ambulance response in this county, the call volumes that are going up, the lack of ambulances, the delayed response times, problems with volunteerism, all the above. I think it's egregious to have 3 ambulances responding to the 911 matrix through one request for service. I think it hurts the entire region, and I don't think it's acceptable.
I agree with you 100%, and that's one of the reasons why communications and interoperability, and the fact that we have 85 different agencies and stuff out here trying to provide a service without a program agency, without day-to-day operations at 100%. This is what we need to address. We need to fix it. I'm glad we once again put together a letter and send it out to them. We have mentioned about, our requirements, and once again, the bottom line is we want to make sure that the right agency, once again, an agency, I shouldn't say, that is appropriately responding to that call is there in a reasonable amount of time with the reasonable resources to be able to handle that.
Chuck, the chair, question for the chairman of the committee. Was there another department that was going to try to get an ambulance from one of the hospitals that was denied a year or 2 ago? Might know about that. Hunter and
That was never actually went any further in discussion.
that they understood it and decided not to go.
Question, yes. Just Mr. Chairman, also I'd like to so I can addition to that letter. I believe that on top of any changes to the response matrix, policy 1206 from New York State and Part 800 requires mutual aid agreement to be done. I think they need to explain what the mutual aid procedure will be for this. If one of the 2 agencies that are responding are unable to provide an ambulance, who are they calling mutual aid? Are they counting on each other going? And if what happens if both of them can't show up? Who are they calling mutual aid? There's nobody that has mutual aid agreements for this to sort of make sure that if someone doesn't show up, there needs to be a full explanation of the policy and procedure behind this. So according to 1206 and Part 800, I believe that addresses that there needs to be a lot more information provided to this council because it needs to be approved.
We'll work on something. We'll try and get it out by the next meeting. And we'll try to address it to stop, this from occurring in the future. And like I say, I have no agencies that are involved in stuff are extremely competent, regardless of what agency you're talking about. The question is how's the policy and what is the policy and how is it being implemented? Is it being implemented the proper way? And at this point in time, we've tried to enlighten them on the policy and procedures of the council as well as the REMAC and what the state requires. And we will address it and we will try and get a letter and stuff out. Formulated. And other than that, like I say, I'm not here to police them, but if you have issues, once again, if it falls back on you on any of those areas and stuff, please let us know. And we can address it from the perspective of, per call issues. That's all I can really tell you. Like I say, I got no supporting documentation. I've checked numerous times throughout the past few months. I've spoken to nobody from any entity within those regions, including the villages or the town of Oyster Bay. So I'm not even 100% sure that they've even been contacted regarding this unilateral decision to make this policy change without consulting both REMSCO as well as the county administration with this.
Well, I honestly, just a personal opinion from a council member, I believe that it's at the point now that if this is not got rectified, that we should make a recommendation to the county, i.e. the police commissioner, that possibly that East Norwich should be dropped down in the matrix to a more appropriate level that they would be able to better handle their full buy.
That's another question that comes to me is whether the certificate of need and stuff. We can't handle it. Once again, it's a certificate of need and stuff. There need to be a change and stuff as far as that also. So there's many different issues and stuff. We'll look into it and we'll address it. I appreciate you bringing it to the council. We'll do the best we can once again, and we'll try and fix this problem so we don't have repercussions in the future. Anything else on the systems? Membership, Thomas Durfee, once again, requested excusal for today. So we have, does anybody have anything on your membership? As far as membership, I did send out the agenda to the county executive's office this morning. We're still working on getting a representative from the county executive's constituency seat. And we'll continue to once again engage them through the meetings and through updates to see if they'll have somebody come down to attend the meetings and what's going on. Move on to hospital emergency department, Evelyn Mulvaney.
Mulvaney is excused for today. She has to be excused.
Anybody? Representative?
Her alternate is not on either.
Just move on to once again subcommittees. The Unified EMS tag, Dr. Newbert, Paul Diver.
Yes, I spoke to Dr. Newbert.
Dr. Dubert's online as well. I don't know if he's not asking. I'm just saying if you need to ask him a question.
Oh, you, Paul.
He's
Okay. I discussed with Dr. Newbert, we're holding off on having another meeting until after your June 14th meeting, which we did not know was occurring, but now we do. So therefore, we will be having a meeting after the June 14th meeting, so this we can get some further information together from there.
Okay, sounds good. And once again, the RSI committee, if Dr. Newbert, please.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I've been working with Don Hudson after we got that survey out to everybody, and we got a lot of really good responses, and we have a core group of agencies either involved interested in being involved and or meet the criteria. A few of them that want to get involved may not have all the criteria checked off. So Don and I are going to reach out to everybody the next week or two and get the medical directors on board from those agencies. And then we're going to have a meeting of our subcommittee with those medical directors and then work together moving forward on that. So we're making good progress. We got a lot of good buy-in from various agencies and the process is moving forward as expected. So everything's going well. Once we have that meeting, we should be able to get a better idea of what agencies will definitely be signed on, and then we'll move forward on the policies and procedures. Hopefully, have something in place by the end of the year that we can then use to start having RSI in the county. But we want to make sure we do it right, and we do it making sure we get buy-in from all of the agencies involved, especially the medical directors, to make sure that when we do it, that we have everyone on the same page, and that it's handled in a way that makes it successful the first time we roll it out.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Newbert. And also congratulations on your awards. Once again, Dr. Newbert.
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it very much.
As the Physician of the Year for the first annual Casa C. Lambert Physician of the Year Award, as well as from the Nassau County Health Department. And once again, congratulations to all the winners. They've all been sent upstate for further review for state EMS awards. And good luck to all with that. Any committees that I've omitted? Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. Just to come back to once again, the quarterly agency reporting form, as Frank Melissa mentioned. I think it's time we start getting this implemented. I would say that once again, if we could put this together throughout the summer, get it online, formulate the information that we need to once again keep ourselves current, and then have it scheduled to be implemented September 30th or October 1st with a 1 month delay to once again be able to put the information and stuff in and see if we can get it online. And in the meantime, through the virtual means, or once again, if things allow in person, to get this out to all the agencies to get some compliance with those issues. So we will continue to work on that. We'll move on to new business. Yes.
Yes, on the new business, I'd like to make a motion that the council approve the price increase for the webpage.
Okay, once again, we have a second on the second. Anybody on the question? All in favor?
Hold on, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just for everyone's awareness, I just crunched the numbers. So the difference between what we're paying now and the new one, based on the current level of providers, would be an additional $560 a year for all the active members and an additional $17.25 for the inactive.
Okay.
So it's not going to break the bank.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much for
Yeah, just
checking
so
on that.
everyone's aware.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, once again, to approve the increase for the maintenance of the website. Anybody on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else on the new business?
Yeah, about that new chief medical officer at UMC.
Right.
Chuck, can we talk a little more about this program agency situation? Sure. Maybe I'm a little confused. For us to try to start up and build a program agency from the ground up, and if we have to take care of 50% of the work and then sub out 50% of the work, and that's correct. Am I correct that we would only be able to sub out up to 50% of the work? So 50% we would be responsible for.
Well, that's I don't know that.
I know that. I'm saying this is what was a possibility. The definitive answer is that we can pick one of these 17 or 18 current program agencies operating in the state. So we go anywhere from Suffolk, New York City, Westchester, Central New York, Albany, whatever, correct? That's a definitive answer. I mean, I was on these phone calls with Ryan and Don, and this is what he told us. Is originally, that's what he said. You have to pick another program agency and basically use that. So my question is would it be a benefit? And I'm looking, maybe I'm taking 1,000-mile view here, but isn't it better for us that we just pick an agency that's already up and operating? If someone wants to do this, make a contract and say, hey, listen, this is what we want from you guys. Who can give it to us? Because they're going to be getting that $160,000. They're going to want someone's going to say, hey, this is more money in my pocket. I'm willing to do what you want. So yeah, I'll hire somebody to come and work down there and do work for you and do whatever you want. But they already have the nuts and bolts together. They have the computer systems, they have the phone lines, they have everything already ready to go. Wouldn't that be a benefit for us?
It sounds like a plan to me, and like I said, there's pluses and minuses. I haven't sat down and looked at it or discussed it with anybody else as far as, financially, what is in the best interest of another region. Is another region going to take us on?
Well,
Is there regions out there? I mean, they can't be as busy as us, other than New York City or even possibly Suffolk.
But
there are regions that, as Donna mentioned, there are regions that are once again consolidating with that. So would they be able to take on the work and stuff that we currently have? I mean, if you think about it logically, the amount of work and stuff, and I don't know where he finds the time. And I'm semi-retired and I'm trying to find the time. And all of you people in the offices and stuff, if it was not for the volunteers in the council and even people off the council doing the day-to-day operations and getting the information stuff out, I don't know where we've been. So yeah, there are pluses and minuses, and we need to look at all the different avenues. Even if we get granted the opportunity to open up our own, you're right. Once again, rebuilding the infrastructure is going to be maybe cost prohibitive to some degree.
I'm just concerned about the fact that you're going to have to go out now. You're dealing with, workers' comp. You're dealing with medical insurance. You're dealing with, all these other liabilities out there that the previous program agency had in place and had payment for, and was left with X amount of dollars to pay their employees. Well, if we go to somebody else, they already have that. So they just got to hire the employees. So basically, they now have $160,000. Maybe they can give themselves a $20,000 raise, and then they go out and hire a decent employee for $50,000 to $60,000. Just my 2 cents.
I agree with you that starting from scratch would be ridiculously difficult. So, but I also thought about how do we go about this so we can get help. We have an enormous amount of commercial healthcare in the region. There's 3 major healthcare organizations that are very wealthy, and I was thinking that we could we design what we want as our ideal program agency. These are the things you have to deliver to us, and we could reach for the moon and ask for everything and say, we're going to put this up for bid. You guys fight it out and let them hire their own people to do this for us at the $160,000 a year, and whatever other costs they're going to have to pay. But they get the benefit of saying, well, we're the regional program agency. We put in the contract like a clause to be able to kill it, and also in a clause for up to renew. It has to be renewed, or there'll be a new bid in 5 years. So you give them a year or 2 to get up to speed.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do that for 2 years.
But it's just a thought. It's a
Well,
thought
I'm
out loud
saying-
for the group.
Because we have to deal with 50% of that work
Right.
for the next 2 years. That's what that all comes down to, at the bare minimum. And so we're still gonna have to deal with 50%. And we're still gonna have to deal with $80,000. So we're taking $80,000 and giving it to somebody else. And then in 2 years, we're again gonna be starting this from scratch. Whereas maybe this other entity that comes in here, what's our alternative? Well, that's what the problem is. The 2 alternative, well, there's only one definitive thing that we know right now, is that we can hire another program agency that exists. That is the only thing we
The other
definitively know
alternative
this sector.
is that as a council grantee within the system, that they allow the funding to go to the council rather than the program agency, and then we would have to put together our own or hire a program agency to run the operation and stuff for us. That's not set in stone yet. We won't know that until they get back to us. I was hopeful to have an answer and stuff on that question today. When we met with them 2 weeks ago, we told them we were meeting today, and we would like to have an idea with them. So yes, there's a multitude of different issues and stuff that go along with this, and you saw what happened after close to 30 years with a single program agency 2 years ago when we started finding irregularities and everything else. We need to look. We can hold.
What do other regions do?
I will defer to the past chairman.
What about Suffolk County? What do they do?
Suffolk County is operated through Suffolk County
Department of Health.
Department of Health and Suffolk County Friends.
Those
Fire
are
rescue
the
EMS.
quasi-governmental agencies.
Yes.
Is
that-
that something that we can ask the Nassau County?
That's the problem, is they would have to build their own entity, and right now, that may not be an option. Go ahead, Don.
The short-term answer is, it's not our contract, it's not our money. It's up to New York State. They'll take the recommendation of the council to either function as its own program agency or a currently existing New York State program agency. As of that, those are the two options in Article 30. So we're not talking about building our own thing unless, and I would respectfully submit that I don't know that giving away our job and our money as a region to somebody else strengthens our position as a council. I think New York State, for a lot of the wrong reasons, has home rule. In this case, it works. EMS had it right in the 70s when it was regionalized. Who better than us knows our region? I don't know that there's a benefit looking elsewhere to have that administrated. So that being said, listen, other people in the state can do this. I have no doubt we can do this. So to answer your question, it's about a 50-50 split between councils that function as their own agency and then those that have a corporation, as we previously have known.
Does the county executive understand this?
It's not, the county doesn't, the county right now for the next 2 years, under the first option, the county nor no one else that doesn't currently exist as a New York State acknowledged program agency can't bid on it. There's nothing to bid on. It's either plan A is we hope that the council's awarded what's rightfully ours, which is home rule. And if that's rejected, then we go back to the drawing board plan B, which is, well, we have to talk to the others and see who, if anybody, and having talked to the majority of them, and publicly knowing what's gone on here in Nassau for the last few years, shockingly, there's no one knocking at our door that wants to sort of be involved here.
Say that, I mean, to hire somebody, and get that option, take something from someone else, take on our option. First of all, we evidently had a problem with the program agency, as you alluded to. Our record is catastrophic. We see somebody coming in just to see what has been going on with it. Somebody need to come in and reformulate this thing. Do we have a list? There is a list of deliberables, right, Don? That the council had to do to this.
We're currently doing, I mean, just as a spitball, 70 to 80% of the job anyway.
Yeah,
We're just not, we don't have access to the funding for it.
Right.
But we do have all the applicable records and behind.
We don't have all the applicable records.
The records are missing.
We don't have all the
Somebody's
applicable
coming in
records.
with a mess.
We have some records.
We have some of the records.
So we're asking a place like Suffolk, and I'm not saying that's what we're asking, but if it was that simple, say, hey, Suffolk, come on over and take over.
It's not that
You know, this is an extension for 2 years. It's not,
It's gonna say, but we're not buying no mess.
well, this is part of the problem. This is an extension of what the program agencies for an additional 2 years. It's not opening up the box and once again, entertaining RFPs for
Yeah, but they're gonna send somebody, let's say Westchester said, or whatever.
I mean, in the
say,
meantime,
"Yeah, we'll
we
hire
can
somebody."
poll, we can send a letter out to the various program agencies and poll them and ask them, you know, what are your deliverables and what is your thought process on if.
But they don't have previous records or anything to go with.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I have a little of a mess that we.
Well, this is exactly what I.
So why can't we take this opportunity to build something new? Perfect for our region. We take the minimum mandatory deliverables that are required by the state to build a program agency and say, that's good, but this is great. We want you to be in charge of, or help us with our quality. We're getting a new e-bridge system. We're gonna need help with that. Who's gonna give out and control usernames and passwords for each provider in the field? And it's not fair for medical control to do it. It's not fair for Don Hudson to do it, and it's certainly not fair for the volunteers on this committee to do it. And so that would be a deliverable for them, and that would be region specific. I think if we gave it away, I don't want another region having control over our communication. I think we could ask them to do all sorts of quality stuff, generate quality reports. We could get the state to give them access, PHI protected access to, PHI removes access to the state website where you could look at PCRs, they could collect run data, general run data, run times, PCRs if they were generated, procedures performed. It doesn't have to have a patient name, it could just have an age. And you know, that sort of stuff that we need to have done, maintain good quality, that may not be in that deliverable thing, but we could demonstrate that it's improving quality of care for the region would be fantastic. We could use them as a coordinator for communications. Right now, the police have their own radio communications band, and every fire agency has their own communications band. Down the 500 frequency, we have the battalion radio, which only the fire chiefs have, and then we have the medical control radio, which is only in the ambulance. You know, we need somebody to help on the EMS side coordinate things, and it's not fair again to throw it at EMD. You guys are freaking busy enough as it is. And I think to give the program agency specific tasks and say, you do this. Or you have 5 years to get it in place, so we're going to just put it up for bid again. Well, we will put it up for bid again, but we won't pick it because you showed us what to do it. And then
Have to answer the owners of the contract, because they extended it 2 years. That whoever's gonna do this, and I agree with what you're saying, but those people have to fulfill what the state had gave them as deliverables, which our previous program agency, I don't think was 100% fulfilling. So in addition to
right,
the-
so we shouldn't lose sight of our goals, our reach goals. We need to keep reaching. Correct. So I don't think we should, and maybe in the short term, we could say, well, you should, but just understand that we're looking for something better.
Did we inherit this programming?
It was,
That was 30-something.
right.
1993, I believe, was when. And I think, well, Kevin, I think you're right, and Paula and Dave is right also, because you know, we've been down this road, and once again, we lost sight of what was going on with the program agency. And to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that was being done through the council was being done exclusionary from, and the council was just sitting there, or the program agency was just, once again, sitting there and
was not
plodding along, and we were forcing the issue.
So maybe we need to speak to the state about changing switching the program agency, the extending it for 2 years, I get it. But they already know that we had a problem with that agency. How about I don't even know the right terminology.
The contract with the agency because it has, produced their deliverables.
Right.
Well, it is de facto dissolved. The agency went out of business. They dissolved. So that contract,
Right.
poof. So there's nothing for them to renew. There's nobody to send a check to.
There's no longer extension for anything because.
And they prefaced that when they started the meeting. They said to everybody else except Nassau County, this is what we're doing.
Well, maybe they can bridge the contract.
It doesn't, one side of the contract disappeared. There's nothing, there's no other party to abridge it to. Right. NassauEMS.com is gone.
It's just extended for 2 years.
No, not, as he just said, not except for Nassau County.
Oh, except for Nassau County.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Except for.
He did say that. Okay. Yeah, so
Is there a way that maybe we could get a few people together to start looking at this, to build upon, like Dr. Kugler said? You know, we have a couple of years before, you know, they're from the government, they need the help, so. we
Anybody
gotta build it.
anybody would like to, I'll find time for another meeting and stuff. We
I
need
have
to,
no problem trying to help out,
we can
trying to-
poll some of the other regions and stuff in the meantime, in case the funding and stuff falls through and we can't go that route for the next few years. So at least have an idea of what agencies are available and we're willing to work with us. Probably in the meantime, we can continue to work to get an agency to build our own.
At the same time, though, we need to have, and that's what I'm saying, we'll contact some of the other agencies, exactly what they're doing, and like Dr. Kugler said, we're gonna need somebody to be working on the image trend, the e-bridge, things like that.
We need
And we need
QA,
to have-
we need all
I
sorts of.
can't do it.
You can't do that.
No,
You gotta sleep sometime.
You have a list of the program deliverables.
We do.
That's
We do.
what you're required to do.
And if you look at it, once again, a lot of it, I don't know, towards the end, I don't know all that was all being done, including the PAD program, so all the other stuff.
Right, yeah.
It's sitting in the middle of.
A public access and relations program was brought to the REMAC for approval. I couldn't think of it ever. And that's actually a state requirement. Where the REMAC is supposed to be keeping tabs of every PAD program in the region.
We know what tool
Yes,
is
it
sitting,
does
in,
in
we don't know.
another
where
Yeah, I
they are.
couldn't tell you what. house
Yeah,
building
I mean, I
has a
file 'em.
layer in it. I mean, Suffolk County
So like I
should
say,
go on both ones.
I'm all on board, once again, let's put a committee and stuff together, let's look at, and let's hopefully see what the options are, once the state gets back to us, and, see if we can, I'm in full agreement, I think we need to have an inside track, and we need to have people overseeing it this time, so we don't run into the same problems that we've had in the past. And we can't guarantee that with another region and stuff, doing that, so, we'll reach out, if anybody's interested, email the council, or email me, and we'll put together, and we'll see, we'll look at the deliverables, look at the options, and figure that part out.
take care of it.
You'll take care of it. All right, but and the reimbursement for the additional. We have a- for the, subsequent review last-
The other two? Yeah, that was in the report.
Okay. Well, okay. All right, so, anything else on the new business?
Did you need anything, any of your bills approved or your bills, all the expenses are approved? It's all taken care of?
Okay. All right. And as I said, we'll do the expenses for the- All right, so with that, anything else on the new business? Otherwise, we have no appointment of new council members or alternates. Anything under the good of the council? We haven't already discussed. So with that, once again, I wish everybody to have a great summer. All right, the next scheduled REMSCO meeting will be Wednesday, September 7th, 2022 at 2 p.m. with an executive council meeting preceding that at 1 o'clock. As of right now, once again, it's scheduled to be here at the Public Safety Center, and there will be a virtual link sent out for those that are unable to attend. For council members, please, once again, make sure you sign in today, and also, once again, send for excusals prior to the meeting. That's it. In the meantime, if anything does come up, we will have with the program agency, if we need to meet, I will send out a separate link of a special council meeting to discuss the progress and try and formulate so we can get up and running as quickly as possible. All right, motion to adjourn the meeting. Terry, and once again, Kevin O'Hara, all right, all in favor? Okay, have a great summer, guys.